to educate, motivate, and build one another through shared knowledge and success. This is Young and Successful, and these are your hosts, Jay Chukwi, Kenny Awashika, and PJ Luminan.
There is two things I want to know about just networking and communication, because it seems like that is something that
Mm-hmm.
is proving to be very effective and beneficial, especially when there's that being that
Yeah.
honest person, right?
Mm.
People can kind of tell that, and how that helps you with, just moving forward, right? Because let's say for like where you are right now with where you work, there has to be qualities that you're showing
Mhm.
that has allowed those working around you to see you as this person who is worthy of that leadership position,
Mhm.
right? Honest and all the other values that come along with that. Talk to us a little bit about just networking and communication and
Mhm. Yeah.
that aspect
So
of things.
so networking's got me every job I've ever had, short of the military, right? So
Right,
um,
right,
the job I almost got with Lockheed Martin was because I knew a guy who knew a guy, and I got very far in that process
right,
as a high school graduate, working for the largest defense contractor, that creates literal spaceships,
Yep.
because I knew a guy. And I didn't even know him that
right,
well. I just knew him, and we were buddies from a video game we played in high school together.
Wow.
And because of that
right,
connection, I he knew what I did. He knew I was looking to get out, and he threw that. My first job I got when I got out here, my brother was a project manager for that company, and he was moving up north, and they were leaving a vacancy. Shockingly, March 27th. And they're like, hey, and he told them, my brother's leaving the military March 3rd. He's got a great, track record from the military. He's not a project manager, but he can
right.
figure it out. And they
Mhm.
said, okay, bring him in for an interview. It came in, they hired me on the spot. I started the 27th. The job I'm in now is a loan officer and assistant, like, doing the lending. That was all because my buddy that I knew from middle school
Right.
now works there, and he's a hot shot there, and
So
they were
you
looking
said
for people to come in.
Right.
you knew him from middle school,
Hmm.
right? There are
Hmm.
folks out there that say, "Oh, I don't need
And
nobody. I keep my stuff to myself." You've known this guy from middle school. That's a lot of years of knowing him.
Yeah, yeah, and
Yep.
he's a great friend to
yeah,
this day. One of my absolute best friends in the world, and I actually turned down the job once before I started working there because he was my best friend, and I didn't want them to ever think that he was using his position to get me a
Yeah.
job, because I don't like that.
Mm-hmm.
In hindsight,
right,
looks sounds kind of silly, right? It's like, hey, it's a great job, but I have my own reasons for that. And then they said, no, 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 we want you for you. And then I ended up going, taking at least take the interview, right? Take the interview, it goes well, and then off I go. So networking's got me pretty much every job I've ever had, short of the military, because they have recruiters. But I did go the same recruiter my older
yeah,
brother went to, so he knew me, and he knew me from my older
right,
brother. So that's kind of networking too. So
Mm-hmm.
um, I keep
absolutely.
up a lot of my relationships with people that I was true. And here's the real important part of it: your network should be people you truly care about, and that
Yep.
you truly want to talk with, grow together, learn from them.
Right,
My buddy I said I played video games with, we play video games. I've met him in person a handful of times, and the one like that was the Lockheed Martin guy, or his father was a Lockheed Martin guy. Him and I play video games for 11 years now, and we still play video games together, and we've met in person twice.
wow,
Met him in high school. He moved away. We played video games ever since. And I'm a friend first, then someone that messages him on LinkedIn and says, "Hey, I'm looking for a job at Lockheed Martin." And I think that's an important dynamic
yeah,
people don't understand when you're networking. You're not
Mm-hmm.
networking just to get a business card. You're networking because you're gonna grow with them, and you have something to bring to the table. You
Mhm.
can't
Yeah.
just get a job because you know a guy. You might get it for a month, but you're not going to stay there for a very long time, because they're going to quickly realize you're not the right guy for this. And now your friend's going to look bad because they
Yep.
stuck out their neck for you.
Yep.
So I maintained relationships with a lot of people I was in the military with. And now I'm kind of doing the reverse. And I'm saying, hey, if you're looking to get out, let me help you. I told
Mm-hmm.
Peter when he was getting out, and
Yep.
I've always told him he always has a place to stay. If he was on his down on his luck and he couldn't do anywhere, he's at least got a couch to sleep on in South Florida, that would keep him there. And I would do my darndest to get him a job in South Florida. And that's because I worked with him. I know him, and we now have that network connection of I would easily take Peter as a coworker than a bunch of people that I may or may not currently work with, because I know how a hard worker Peter is. And even if he isn't a business guy, as in sense like, reviewing tax documents and legal documents in a business aspect, he might not know that now, but I know he will know that in a month. And that's kind of what you want to do when you network and you get to know people. So I
Yeah,
think
it's gotta
networking is
be.
the important part.
Yeah, it's gotta be a genuine connection, man. A lot of times people think networking is just trying to get to know people to get ahead of the game, which
Mhm.
is
Just think,
true in a sense, but it'll only get you so far if that's your intentions.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
you
saying?
can't get all the way there unless you're truthful
Mhm.
with it, which is a big
Yep.
deal.
Yep. Use networking for climbing up the ladder and then dumping them as you go up.
Yeah.
yeah, nah, that doesn't work.
No.
Nope.
Again, I have to say thank you, man. You are throwing so much at us. It's like this got to be like several interviews. Folks need to hear this. There's the military aspect of this that people need to learn about. Just the opportunities that they have there. The fact that you can go in there, be successful while you're in the military, and then when you do decide to get out, there's also a lot to learn from that and gain from the military after you left. And you were quite blessed with a mindset of, man, I might have busted both of my knees, but I'm not giving up, sitting down here getting some health benefits. I'm gonna keep
Mhm.
pushing on with life. People need that kind of mindset, like, oh, I don't have legs anymore. Let me just sit my butt down and just get these medical bills. Then
Yeah, Peter knows that firsthand when I had my knee surgery, and
Yep.
my doctor told me, because I told him like to run. He said you're not gonna be able to run like you could before, and I was like, well, I've always wanted to run a half marathon. He's like, well, you're not gonna do that. So I had my knee surgery in June of 2018, and I ran my first ever half marathon in December of that same year.
this is
So
after the knee surgery.
yeah, after
Yep.
my knee surgery,
Wow.
June of
Wow.
2018, I ran my first ever half marathon with Peter that same year, that December. So I had my knee surgery, I want to say it was June 23rd. I left the hospital June 24th. And
6
then
months.
less than 6
Yep.
months.
Less than
About
6 months.
almost
'Cause
6 months on the die. Because we did our half marathon like December 17th. So almost exactly 6 months later from having knee surgery to running a half marathon in a decent time. All right. So it was like 2 hours and like 7 minutes or something like that. So I'll
Oh
take
my!
it. I'll take it.
Wow.
Are you familiar with David Goggins?
Yes. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Pretty
Yeah,
motivational
he
guy.
yeah. Stop talking about running, man. That guy made me hate running.
Yeah. Oh,
I
wow.
don't
But
I don't
no,
run too
dude.
much anymore, but
Yeah,
because it
that
caught
is
up to me very
amazing.
quickly with the knee injury.
Yeah,
So I do a lot of
that is amazing.
other
Yeah,
stuff
I
for
think
that.
that is really cool.
so. Before we close out, the one thing I want to say here is, if you surround yourself with great people, you're gonna accomplish great
Boom.
things. Because I
Yeah.
wasn't even gonna run that half marathon. I fucking hate running. But
That's true.
Right.
Brian was like,
Yeah.
"Yo, if I run this, would you run it with me?" And we have that relationship. I would go to the moon and back with this guy, and I was like, "All right, fuck it." I
Yeah.
think the most I ran before that half marathon was like a 6 mile run, and I was like, "I fucking hate running, man." So I'll just get this out the way.
Through the finish
Yeah.
line.
Jeez.
Peter hated
Yeah.
running so much that he wouldn't even train to run the half marathon like we were. He said, "I'm still gonna go to the gym. I'll just do cardio once a week of like one dedicated
Yep.
running day." And he finished first in the half marathon of our group. He finished
Under
first,
two.
like under 2 hours. Yeah,
Yep.
he did it in like under 2 hours, and I did it in 2 hours 7. Right next to the other person who did it, Chris Knowles, a great friend of ours, did it in 2 hours 7 minutes with me. So we had a good group of people. We all knew it started out as a joke, like, oh, let's do a half marathon.
Yeah, it was.
It was like, we're gonna have a marathon, and then one person agreed to it. And once one person agreed to it, another person agreed to it, and then I agreed
Yep.
to it, and then Peter agreed to it, and then another person agreed. Before you knew, we had 5 or 6 of us that were like, okay, we're all gonna go and sign up for this half marathon, and we're gonna do it. Because once we sign up for it, we gotta do it, right? Because we're paid them
Yeah,
the
you
60
paid.
bucks, whatever
Yeah.
it was.
Yep.
It was like €100 or
Yeah.
some shit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and once we
it
did that, the rest is history, right? So we went and we did
Yep.
that half marathon, and I ended up doing a second one, but Peter wasn't there. He was back in the States. I did a
Yep.
second one the next year with another person we did it with the first time. And I think I'm done. 26.2, that's enough. I don't need to do any more running like that. I had my
Hey.
fair share of fun.
I'm gonna put that down on my list.
Half
On
marathon.
the
marathon.
marathon.
So you got into the military, you got motivated, you got surrounded by really great people, and then the decision time came. Do I get in? Do I get out? Some people are like, oh, you must just be all one way or what. No, I like your strategy of, okay, if else, but push hard for the if. Then
Hmm.
else, then you take the next action. And then when you add that if decision, you took action. But the funny part about the action that you took, that you have not really elaborated, expanded upon, was that you were saving money to get yourself ready to get out. You
Right.
were applying to the schools, you were looking for the job. Those are not simple actions, those are jobs by themselves.
Hmm.
And then the
Mhm.
funny thing is,
Yeah.
you now jumped, and crazy thing happened. COVID happened right in the middle of you jumping. So
Yeah.
you left Mr. Comfort Zone for Mr. Danger Zone.
Yeah. Yeah. It was
And
definitely dangerous.
Right.
and most people are like, oh man, I fucked up. Excuse my French. In the middle of COVID, you got into school, right? You were able to go to school in person, while most people could not go to school in person. You were required to go to school in person. You got a job. Most people were losing jobs when you found a job. Just think about it. Like, you set your mind to something, and instead of you saying, "Oh, the world around me is blowing up," you just kept focusing on it, and you just
Hmm.
kept accomplishing it. And I'm not sure if you've thought back and realized how much you've done in the middle of all the madness around you, but you've done a lot. This is to tell people out there that positive energy, just that surrounding yourself with the right people. I mean, like we've mentioned a lot this evening, that if you just apply those standards or those attributes into your lifestyle,
Hmm.
that success is not that far away. You may take a step at a time, and it's just that connecting, it's just that
Hmm.
coming together. And that's just what's so amazing about your story, and that's what we love about it. We love about you too.
Yeah,
uh
that was just to touch on that
Absolutely.
really quick. Something I'll be real quick on this. I promise.
yeah.
Is now my new position.
Hey,
I
take your
do
time,
I do lending for small businesses specifically. So small businesses in the United States that are applying for an SBA loan. So the Small
Mhm,
Business Administration.
mhm,
They have approved lenders that they do that through, and I get to talk to small business owners every single day about here's
mhm,
my business plan. Here's what I'm doing. And I learned very quickly that while I might have gone to a school for business and I'm learning about business, I don't know how to run a business because
mhm,
I'm talking to these people. They don't know
yeah.
what a Schedule C tax form is because their accountant does it because they don't care about that stuff. They just know how to sell whatever they're selling or make whatever they're making. And I kind of learned a lesson about that because I always thought, you see these Elon Musks and they're geniuses, but they all start somewhere. And Elon Musk
Mhm.
didn't know how to build a huge franchise like he did when he started, and he surrounded himself with people, I bet. And a lot of the successful business owners I speak to, and they're coming for their second, third, or fourth loan to open up their third, fourth, fifth store, and they've
mhm,
all done them through us, is that they found a
Right.
coworker, they found someone in their community that does the same thing as them, and they surround themselves with other good business owners, and they bounce ideas off each other. And they say, okay, let's put our money where our mouth is. I'll go in half, you go in half. Let's take out a $20,000 loan, $50,000 loan, $100,000 loan, and do this. And they do it, it has success, and then say, okay, we could probably do that a second time. And they do it again and again. And now I know I closed a loan a couple of weeks ago, and they had 6 or 7. They started out as a small hardware store, like their area, and now they have 6 or 7 across the state. And it was just the way that they do their business was different. It was kind of like similar how you used to have like Home Depot and Lowe's. They do a lot for uh, big commercial carpenters. They go there and buy that stuff. They said, we're going to make this more like mom and pop type of stuff. And we're going to tailor it with like, a huge advent towards technology. So you can kind of, there's like a touchpad and it tells you right where the thing you're looking for is in our store. And they kind of changed their
Mhm.
own deal. And they knew like, well, they're not a Home Depot, but they know that I don't want to say their name, but their business name here. And we're going to do us in our
Right.
small town. We're going to grow from it. And that was just something I learned that, if you're in a business school, they're going to tell you not to do that because the margins are
Mhm.
real low in a hardware store, and you
mhm.
got Home Depot and Lowe's to compete with, and Ace, and you're not going to beat them. But they took something that
Yeah.
was conventionally a bad idea, and they made it good because they thought they could do it. They surrounded themselves with good people, and they came up with a new way
Good.
to do what they were doing that was unique to them that they could do, and these larger stores couldn't. So that's something I
Absolutely.
learned that was super interesting for businesses, and that could be used for a lot of different things when you think about things.
Mhm.
Like when you start going to the gym or working out again, we might not be a Brian Shaw, it might not be an Arnold Schwarzenegger, but they started somewhere. Exactly.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think it's just is the biggest thing is to just keep going, and I definitely understand what you're saying there as far as with just um, taking on because what those business owners are doing is just essentially throwing themselves out there and or just jumping off the cliff and then fly
Yeah.
or figure out how to fly once they're midair,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
And I think that that is the same thing with a lot of things that we do and happen to be successful at. Success is not guaranteed to anyone, right?
Mhm.
But one thing
Hmm.
is for sure is that you're going to fail. But the thing is just to just keep trying to do whatever it is. It's the same thing I did when I started my first business, the gym. I didn't know what I was doing, but somehow we're able to grow and scale that business like
Yeah,
in no
man.
time,
Jump and hope
right?
you can fly.
Exactly. Yeah, and
Exactly.
that's true.
Um,
And you, like you said, you're gonna fail, and
exactly right.
that's my failures probably
Yeah.
outnumber my successes, maybe 2, 3 to 1. Because, but
Same here, man.
each failure
Yeah.
is only a fail if you look at it as such, because you
Yep.
learn
Exactly.
something
Yeah.
important from every time you
That's
fail.
failure is a type of success. It's
Exactly.
not the
Yeah.
victorious success; it's the lessons learned success.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Uh,
Absolutely.
and you probably never got
Well,
that lessons learned if you never failed.
If
you
you show me a
you gotta
business owner
just
that's
keep
never
getting at it.
failed, and I'll show you a unicorn. Let's do that deal right now. Show me a business owner that's never
Hey,
failed, and
look at
I'll
that.
show you a
Absolutely.
unicorn.
Absolutely amazing. Hey, Brian, I think we gotta have you back on the show again,
I would love to be
Oh
back.
and
yeah,
just
for
be
sure,
able
man.
to speak on so much more. One thing I would really like to just sit down and talk with you about is investing, right? Because
Yeah.
just from this first conversation, this was a lot of fun,
If people want to learn,
right?
what the guy behind the lending office looks like, what looks for, I can't tell them
Yep.
everything, but I can tell them a lot
Right.
of things. Things that I would recommend you do when you start applying for a small business loan, or if you need do you need a small business? No, you don't. Maybe you want one, but you don't need it. Things like
Yeah.
that.
Yep.
That a lot of
You
people
can do that,
think.
yeah.
A lot of people think, well, I need to go get a loan because I want to start a business. I was like, well, hold your horses. Are you sure you want a
Yep.
loan? Let's figure out if you need that
I
loan
think
first.
I know a lot of people were looking for a loan to start a business, and for some reason, for everyone, the business starts from the loan. I don't, I don't know why,
Yeah, I
but
disagree with
I
that,
think the
but I
business is start.
digress.
Yeah, it keeps me
Yeah, it's
employed,
yeah, the
but,
business.
but
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think the business starts with the actions,
yeah, I can tell you right now,
and
all
then
the
from
loans I
there,
see that go well, they
just
have a
scale.
game plan and they have actions. They're not
Yep.
just coming to me saying, "Can I have $100,000? Can I have $1 million? I'm the next Uber." I'm like, well, hold on, let me see some
Hey,
proof
look at
first.
that,
I need to
man.
see this.
PJ, anything else?
Yeah, I guess final words here is make sure you surround yourself with great people and get the fuck out of your comfort zone because that's where no success will happen. Success happens outside of your
Yes,
comfort zone, and success happens after failure. So those are my final words.
very strong. I agree with it.
All
Kenny,
wise Peter.
I would say routines, discipline, and a strong mind. Basically, you can still run long distance without any knees. So just if Brian
yeah.
can do it, you can do it.
My final words, is there is no school for this shit. We just gotta go do something until something happens. That's it. The goal is to educate, motivate, and build one another through shared knowledge and success. Brian, this was a lot of fun, man.
Yeah,
It
thanks
was a lot
for
of
Until
fun.
coming
next
out,
time.
man.
Thank you,
Oh,
Chief.
I had a
Yes,
great time.
sir.
I'll definitely be back. I really like this.
Yes, sir.
The crosstalk. This is how things get done,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
people learn a lot more than they would in a college classroom when they hear 3, 4, 5 people have actually done it, and they're telling you some advice that I wish I knew 10 years ago. So
Yep.
it's definitely good stuff.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for having me, by the way. It was
Hey.
a great time.
Thanks for taking the time. Chief.
Absolutely, man. Thank you for joining us. It's been really amazing. Jay out.
Peter, PJ, see you later, alligator.
00 out.
Brian, goodbye.